Hi. So for today's story, I want to talk about the drone that was shot down over the Black Sea by the two Su-27s, I believe. Started working on this last night when the news broke yesterday, and I want to take you through my process. I don't know how I'm going to end up, but here is where I'm at the moment. So I'm going to switch now to the screen. And this is the interview with Brigadier General Pat Ryder.
Professional and unprofessional intercept with a U.S. Air Force intelligence surveillance.
So the words that he says, unsafe and unprofessional, he says that many times. I think he even says it here again.
And reconnaissance unmanned MQ-9 aircraft that was operating within international airspace over the Black Sea today.
So operating into international airspace. Now, this sort of just like, it blows my mind because just down the block from me, a neighbor's car, like the catalytic converters were stolen, right? Are the police doing anything about it? Right? What would anybody say? They'd say, well, if you really want to protect them, if you can protect them, you put them in your garage. Don't leave them out in the street because they're not safe on the street. I mean, I know that. I think everybody in the world knows that. Now, so here's the general, right, of the Air Force, the most powerful Air Force in the world, basically saying that he expects his toy out on the street to be respected and for nobody to monkey with it. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me. Like, it was in international airspace. like what's that mean? That doesn't mean anything. You know, all that means is that, yeah, everybody flies their military around. Now, if you want to protect your drone, you have some fighter aircraft escorting it, or you have them ready. So they said themselves that the fighters were following for 20 to 30 minutes, so why didn't they scramble some jets to go chase off the Russian fighters? Well, they didn't. So, if you hear that, if your neighbor calls you and says, oh, somebody's like looking at your car strangely and monkeying with it, well, I guess you could just, would you be surprised if you go down later and your catalytic converter is gone, or they smashed the windshield, they stole it? No, right? So, I mean, they knew the jets were there, and they didn't do anything about it, right? So, but that level of I don't know how to say, common sense, not coming from the head of our Air Force, just blows my mind. Like, I know what he's saying. It's not in, it's not like over Ukraine. It's not really, part of the war. But this is where I have a lot of difficulty. I mean, in other interviews, he's saying, we're going to give Ukraine everything you want. Listen, you're at war. We're at war with Russia, right? You can't just give $50 billion worth of weapons to some country that's fighting Russia and say to Russia, well, we're not involved. Come on. Like, what planet do you live on? Okay, we get it, international airspace, but, don't make a big deal of it. Just say it was flying over the Black Sea. It wasn't over Ukraine, whatever. But to say it's unsafe and unprofessional, so that's really what I wanted to sort of focus on, because it's another type of obliviousness of this general and many in the U.S. military of what is going on in a very real way. Okay, so last night I started with what I thought I would do is I would start sort of just with the background, like saying, okay, in March, Russia's attacked, the nuclear plant. They bombed the theater with the women and children that are hiding in it, and they put out in the yard. They said the children in here, and the Russians bombed it anyway. The looting of civilian properties, cluster munitions. Then in April, Bucha, we know for sure that they tortured and executed and raped people. Now, Russians comment on my Medium stories and say, well, we don't know for sure. And come on. Now, whether it's widespread or not, whether it was sanctioned by the Russian military, those are all other questions. But some bad stuff happened. Then the phosphorus bombs, we can see that in videos. So it's just sick stuff. They're blowing up the Ukrainian prisoners of war. Putin's annexing the Donbass region, even when he doesn't even control all of it. I mean, what's that all about? But anyway, the main thing I want to get at is that hundreds of people are dying every day. Dying. And this general is like, oh, you hit the propeller of our drone in an unsafe and unprofessional way. The Ukrainians are at war. We're at war. Hundreds of people are dying every day, and you're upset because they were unprofessional and unsafe? What are you talking about? What kind of general on the battlefield says, "Oh, soldier, no, your chin strap isn't buttoned up correctly before you go over that line. Button up your chin strap before you go over that that line, or straighten up your posture. You do not look professional before you storm that line." What are you? This is war. War. Unprofessional. Unsafe. I mean, if you want a definition of a woke general, this is it. This is one woke ass general. Okay. Anyway, so I was working on this thing, and then this morning I thought I would go a different route, and I thought I'd go with the sort of more of like a story. So, 2 Russian military jets, after bombing a few women and children in Ukraine, head back to Crimea. They spot a United States drone spying over the Black Sea. Bored, one of them decides to dump some gasoline on it and try to light it on fire with its exhaust engine. Laughing too hard, one of them clips the propeller with his wing. Oh, dang, we're in trouble now. You think we started World War III? Nah, my commander wants to sell that wingtip on the black market. I wonder what school will be, bombing in Ukraine tomorrow. Well, I hope a big one. So, I want to just show just how everybody's how there's sort of this mindset of people aren't dying, like it's some game, and then to contrast that the pilots just came back. Now, they probably in real life did not come back from bombing a school, but logically, intellectually, we know in a sense they are connected. These fighter pilots they're out there killing people. So they're out there killing people, and they hit this drone, and the general on the liberal democracy side, on the world's leading liberal democracy, is like unprofessional and unsafe. What are you talking about? Now, he doesn't have to say anything. I mean, that's really the sort of point I would get if I want to be more serious about this. Don't editorialize like that. Just say, they hit down our drone. We consider it very serious. End of story. Do not say it's unsafe. It's unprofessional. You sound like a freaking idiot. And it dishonors all the people dying there. It makes light of what this is all about. It just makes you in general look like a nincompoop, like you don't get out enough, like you don't live in the real world that rest of us live in. Like you expect, because you're the Brigadier General of the U.S. Air Force, you can fly wherever you want and nobody can touch your toys? Get real. That's not the world that the rest of us live in or anybody lives in. Like, you don't even live in it. Getting angry all over again. Okay. So I ultimately decided that my 2 sort of scripts, one was sort of leading the witness, like argumentative, and the other was sort of judgmental. And I really just wanted to focus on what's my main point. My main point is the juxtaposition between, the war on one hand, where all these people are getting killed, and this general or the U.S. government legitimizing Russia and basically saying, "Oh, by the way, you acted in an unsafe manner over here, and naughty." So, and I don't know why where the jets were coming from, what they were doing. But I think just in general, I fibbed. I basically said they're coming back from a bombing run, and the next day they're going on a bombing run. I don't know that, but I did that to basically tell my story, to put 2 things together in the viewer's mind and let them come to the conclusion, if they want to come to the conclusion, which I'm coming to, which is that the United States is legitimizing, in a sense, the Putin regime, is trivializing the war. It shouldn't have used the words unsafe and reckless in this situation. So that's what I did, and I'll show you the video, and it's over 1,000 views on YouTube. I still can't figure out why YouTube picks some of my shorts to put in the feed and not others. Also in this video, I used a bunch of my FFmpeg type automation, PowerShell automation to create the video. I do notice it's interesting that the videos that I do, I think that when I'm actually on the video talking, don't get into the feed as much as the ones I use the computer to generate automatically using the Google Voice and stuff. Something I'll talk about later. Hopefully I'll figure it out. Anyway, onto the video that I did yesterday for the YouTube short.
2 Russian fighter jets were returning from a bombing run over Ukraine, where they killed a house full of women and children. They spot a US Reaper drone over the Black Sea. They spill some jet fuel on it and try to light it on fire with their jet exhaust. One of them clips the propeller with his wing. The US summons the Russian ambassador to complain that the pilots flew in an unsafe and reckless manner. The next day, the pilots bombed more homes in Ukraine and more women and children died. The Russian pilots flew safely back to their base without doing anything reckless that would make US Air Force General Pat Ryder unhappy.